place of hell, you know what I mean. I terrorize the neighborhood. They know that we're up to no good. We're at the house by the cemetery. They don't go in cause it's really scary. The door opens and I head on in. But not a hell now begins. Inside, take a look around. The deputies by chuckles the crowd. Go up and down the big staircase. A secret panel to another place. I saw a guy wearing a hockey mask. He's carrying a bloody ass. He chases me on down the hall. And blood dripping from the wall. Haunted house. All the things I see. Haunted house. Being chased by a bee.
Record of your call. Please state your message at the sound of the tone.
Welcome back to the Chuckles and Laughs Show, special paranormal filming, and we've had all sorts of walks of life come on this show today. All sorts, and it's been very exciting. Even being a dead guy myself, I found some of these characters rather interesting, like Cthulhu. I also find this rather interesting. Carl, if you wouldn't mind introducing your group.
Yes, well, I'm just glad you had me on for a segment before these ladies came on, because nobody's going to be looking at me now. We have the members of the Big Rhody Research Project. They'll explain why it's called Big Rhody. We have the very lovely Dina Palazzini, the founder of Big Rhody Research Project.
Yeah!
She's also
Oh, come on, a lot better than that guy.
Hey, Dina! She's also the founder of Beyond the Veil Paranormal Research.
Come on! Wake the heck up! Someone give them the beer.
And we have Miss Chris Stepney, also a member of Big Rhody Research Project. Chris? Whose birthday it is tomorrow.
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you!
What a laugh. And we have the equally lovely Miss Aries Clack.
Yeah!
Most recently joined member of
Pronounce that right. Can you pronounce that for him, please?
Aries Clake. Miss I've seen it in print. I haven't asked you yet. I just call you Aries. Miss Aries Clake, and she is the newest member of the Big Rhody Research Project.
Don't make her mad. She's got that name Aries. The last time I checked, someone with that name Aries is bad if you make her mad. Very
She
bad.
lives up to her name.
So now you know there is glamour in Bigfoot research.
Now, I'm a big fan of Bigfoot. I'm a big fan of the research. However, I am not a big fan of that show that's on Animal Station. When it started out, I did enjoy it. But it seems, now, answer me if I'm wrong, it seems that these guys made it seem like if you are researching this, you have to be stupid. And they make it seem like, you know, we don't know stuff like bears can bend down bird feeders or get into stuff. They actually add stuff that you've learned in school, they take it out. It's like, no, they can't do that. It's just some of the stuff that they pronounce, it's messed up. What do you think?
Well, we've had some personal research, personal experience with the BFRO of finding Bigfoot on Animal Planet. Did you want to tell a little bit about that?
They threw us under the bus. Another thing that was really funny is when Matt Moneymaker said to Bobo, "Hey Bobo, why don't you take out your knockers?" I'm like, what?
You think they meant that to be
The way
funny?
it sounded, I was like, that is not professional.
No, but they were our guest here. I notified the BFRO and the Animal Planet producers, and they were our guest out here in Rhode Island, and that's how they learned of Big Rhody, which is a term I devised for the Rhode Island Sasquatch. Popular nickname for Rhode Island is Little Rhody, so we have our Big Rhody. And instead of looking upon us as a legitimate research team and colleagues, it made it look as though Dina and Chris were saying, we think we might have seen Bigfoot too. And we're really the people who brought them here and introduced them to the Big Rhody phenomena.
And if they only knew that we go out on horseback, and Aries provides the horses and all the forests down in the Hope Valley area, and there are a lot of forests out there, and we go out for hours and hours and hours on horseback with our gear, and we do it for days at a time, and we're going to be doing it again coming up real soon when the weather breaks.
Dina, what was it that attracted them here most? What was the single most notable piece of evidence that brought the Finding Bigfoot crew here to Rhode Island? It's something you filmed, you and Chris.
Well, Chris and I were driving down a road out near Tinrod Road in Exeter. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that area. And we just were shooting some B-roll because we do extra footage for our filmings, just fill-ins. And we caught something that looked like a bipedal creature walking from behind a tree, and you could see that the arm was swinging. And it looked to be hair covered. So when we saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, do you think that is what I think that is? And Chris was like, that looks like Bigfoot. And I've seen one when I was 16, so I know what the creature looks like. So, you want to share anything on that, Chris?
I was just going to say, I mean, we were looking at that video for hours, just trying to figure out what that was.
You have actually seen a Bigfoot.
Yes, when I was about 16 in Cumberland.
Really? Did you see this Bigfoot back here? Where are you? Come on, Tim. Is that the Bigfoot you
I've been
saw?
looking for you. Come here.
Come on out, Tim.
No
Come
more
on.
blurry pictures.
Yeah, he's coming. He'll come back out. By the way, he doesn't like being called Bigfoot. His real name is Tim.
Or Timothy.
And he's got a bone to pick with you guys, I guess.
I
guess
see.
I'll give him this mic. I guess he's got a bone with you on him.
Does he smell familiar to you, Dina?
He smells very familiar. I think he needs to change that diaper.
You know, where's the privacy anymore? I'm just out doing my thing, and you guys are out there with video feed going and lights and the horses. I mean, come on, just let me do my own thing. Let me live.
Well, we think you're sexy, so we want to get you on film.
Maybe your humans aren't as dumb as I thought you were.
Now, Tim, I hear that you send them a pool party invitation, and they never responded back.
I sent it out, you know, that couple of email responses back. You know, they didn't even get back to me. I mean, what gives? I'm just trying to throw out the invitation. Nobody takes up on it.
I'm sorry, we had a few invites that week, and we could not make every one of them.
That Chupacabra,
There was a better looking Sasquatch that week, and I was all over that
That
one.
was actually POD, but anyway.
Yeah.
How did POD get a Sasquatch outfit? Well,
I had a lady.
no, you didn't. That's why it's called
That's
story.
right in.
No, you know, I've seen a lot of this footage out there with the Bigfoot, and
Let me guess, I'm doing this.
yeah, that right there. And I've only seen really one or two that can tell me that it actually looks like a Bigfoot. I saw yours, and the shadow did look indeed like a tall person swinging the arms. Either it was a Bigfoot or a really tall ghost. Either way, it was bad. But you caught it, which is cool. And of course, the original footage, which still to this day sticks of the ape walking through the woods there. I personally think that this thing does exist. I've never seen it. Again, I haven't seen a lot of stuff until today, but I believe he exists. Do I want people to find out he exists? No. But if someone was smart enough, now this is what I'm saying when I watch these shows, you always see someone that's a hunter that has a gun on him. It says, I saw a Bigfoot and ran. If something that size is coming at me with a rock or a stick and I have a gun, I have the edge. I'm shooting it. And then you're a millionaire because you have the Bigfoot there.
Don't shoot my Bigfoot.
But if it comes between Bigfoot breaking my spine or me shooting Bigfoot, I'm shooting Bigfoot. You know, sorry, Tim.
You're just intimidated by the diaper, right?
I am very intimidated. The beast is like 9'11". But you always get these guys that, I ran from that thing when I saw its red eye. Why does the Bigfoot have red apes, by the way? Or red eyes, why?
Why do you have red eyes?
Because I'm beautiful. But why, his eyes itself, why do they glare red?
I can tell you that. Just a hard night of partying by the pool. That's all.
That's why you're...
Chlorine.
And is that why you peed on that gentleman's tent? Was a hard night of partying?
Can't prove it? Next.
Just like humans, when you take a picture and they get the red eye, it's that the lens in our eye.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if they weren't part human, it would be a green, like a deer or
Yeah,
something.
I totally
Canine.
understand where you're coming
Or
with
a
that.
canine.
What I'm saying is when they see it there and they all of a sudden come up and say this thing has red eyes.
It doesn't have red eyes.
Right.
I've seen it.
But you've seen the shows of the guys say, I was in the woods and I saw these red eyes glaring at me.
Well,
Why?
did they see it at night?
Maybe because they saw it at night and it was reflecting. The light was reflecting off their eyes.
Possibly.
Put them in
Possibly.
a cell phone going off too.
You have a cell phone too?
Oh,
Can you hook me up with a number so I can go to some of these pool parties of yours?
yeah,
When I come back from the dead, of course.
of course.
No. So, tell me more about seeing this thing. Because now you've caught my interest. Seeing the Bigfoot.
Dina's eyewitness
Tim.
experience.
Well, not this Bigfoot, but when I was about 16, I did see Bigfoot in Cumberland, Rhode Island, and actually, I just found out recently when I first came out of the Bigfoot closet that other people have actually seen this Bigfoot in the same area. It was about dusk on a summer night, around dusk, and we were cruising in a convertible, and everybody liked this road because it was haunted. And we'd all go down there to see if we could see some ghosts. So we decided to pull over in this convertible on the side of the road and just hang out. Now, I was with 3 guys. I was always a tomboy, always did the tomboy stuff, running around in the woods. And we're just hanging out and laughing, and all of a sudden I could feel something looking at you. You know, when someone's staring at you, you just know
Deadly
someone's looking at you. And then I could smell something really nasty. Like, I'm smelling it right now. And
Sorry.
we all turned and looked and saw this huge 7.5-foot creature just standing there staring at us. And I screamed, we all screamed so loud, like a bunch of schoolgirls trying to get out of there. I'm trying to get underneath the seat of the car. And if anybody knows, you cannot crawl under the seat of a car. You just can't do it.
Let me get something straight.
Unless you're a ferret.
Us clowns can fit in small areas, especially under the seat of the car. Have you ever gone to Barnum and Bailey and see how many clowns come out of that car?
Even
We
big ones,
can't.
right, Chuckles?
We didn't have that kind of car that day.
What kind of car did you have, Dina?
It was a convertible. I believe it was a Camaro, an older Camaro convertible.
With the
Wow.
top down.
With the top down, which made it even
So
scarier
this
than Chuckles.
creature,
Whoa!
few things are.
So maybe Bigfoot wanted to go for a spin with you in the Camaro.
Or he liked my Aquanet, because it was in the 80s.
Good man. 80s.
So this creature could have played whack-a-mole with you.
Could
Could
have
have.
played whack-a-mole with all of us and didn't even budge. We didn't hear him coming, and we didn't even look to see if he was gone, because we hauled butt out of there. We were gone.
Why not a bear? How do you know this wasn't a bear?
I know what a bear looks like. Seen bear in the wild.
I even know what a bear looks like.
Silent Josh.
Why not something like this? Why wasn't it a man in a costume?
Are you kidding me?
That's not a man in a costume. That's very insulting.
I
Can you
would have
believe
started
that,
laughing if I saw that.
Can you
I was
believe
crying when I saw
Money
the
and
other
doing,
thing.
That's disgraceful.
I thought this was going to be a serious program.
Well, you're on the wrong show.
Tim? You serious? No, really not. I didn't push
Wax
the fart
it.
button yet, so it's serious. When I push the fart button, it's no longer serious.
You don't recover from that one.
You know, you do have quite a point there. Lately, a lot of the paranormal
Oh, yeah.
stuff has been shit. There hasn't been
It has.
anything out there that is very well caught me. And as much as I like watching Ghost Adventures, it's just that it's a TV show. It's entertaining.
That's just it. People got to remember that you're seeing what the television camera and the editor choose for you to
Right.
see. It's easier than stage magic because you have to watch that.
Yep.
And because there are people that we invite into our home, they're the plumbers or the college students. It's like they wouldn't lie to us. They say it's real. It's got to be. Look at these guys. We trust them.
You know, since we're getting to the paranormal, we'll get to that point in a second. I have watched a lot of this stuff where they're at nighttime, and when we do our paranormal investigation, we actually cut out that middleman of doing it at the night. We do it during the day, because being an evil clown and working in the horror business for so long, I know that the dark plays tricks on you. I know that it matrixes things that normally
Your
wouldn't
mind
be
will
there.
fill in the blanks.
That scares the bejesus out of you. However, when you take that part out and you do the investigation during the day, and then you see that shadow figure, that's more credible than someone saying, I saw a shadow figure that you never see on camera. The best thing is, I won't say the show, every time they say, I see a ghost, and they turn around, there's nothing there on the camera, and all you see is nostrils and eyeballs.
But you've got this music in the background. Wow, wow, wow. When they turn around and see nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You get all excited, and there it was. I'm not saying these guys have not caught credible footage, which they have. What I'm saying, and I know why a lot of people do it at night, because people are quiet and
The
whatnot.
spooky factor at night.
Exactly. Because if you filmed a paranormal television show during the day, you probably wouldn't get the response that you would at nighttime. But we have done this before. We have some good footage, and so they will have to take you down to there. A man by the name of Reed Byron, which is down behind Job Lot. And we have caught full apparitions of him in the day. And we've caught full EVPs during the day. And that place will honestly, the hairs will go up on end when you walk in there. It's a creepy cemetery. I haven't heard it, but there's
Where is
actually.
this again?
Don't worry, we'll get to
You
that.
tell us where you
Don't
saw
tell
the Bigfoot.
everybody that's going to
and-
be watching the show now.
I will not tell when this because there's a lot of people that go back here and vandalize this. So I never give the site up. I never ever do that because this thing, they're taking a big chance right now. They're cleaning it and making it look nice. They've gotten rid of a lot of riffraff, but it is very haunted. And one of the reasons I think it's so haunted, when we were younger, there was a lot of stupidity in there. There was a lot of people messing around with satanic rituals in this thing. There was a lot of up in graves, grave robbing, because I personally don't think a spirit is going to stick around and haunt a cemetery where he could be haunted somewhere he likes. However, if you're messing with his burial spot, there is that possibility that he's going to come back and say, hey, you're messing with my burial spot here. This place is very creepy. We'll have to take you down there. Before, and bless all the souls that were lost in this, before the station night fire, we were out there investigating, and we were doing an interview, and we caught a gentleman sitting behind a headstone, and there was this bright aura behind him. And we kept zooming the camera in, but there was no expression on the face, and there was like you could almost see through the figure. We knew it wasn't the trees. We kept looking at it and saying, "Oh, it's not the trees," but there was definitely someone sitting there watching us. And to this day, we haven't caught that one, but we went down further where someone was crushed by a headstone because they were playing with stuff they weren't supposed to, and the headstone fell over and crushed them. We were filming there, and Deadly Dan caught a pair of legs walking behind him. And it was very creepy, and this is all in the daylight. I'll give you that information later. Have you ever caught into something doing the paranormal investigation where it's made you think, maybe I have overstepped the boundaries just a little bit? Because if you notice, there's a lot more of this stuff coming forth now. You know, there might be that time where you're sitting there and there's Aunt Gertrude and you're going to be interviewing her. Is that going to be the step where you say, okay, maybe this is something I don't want to investigate anymore?
Never. I'm going to do this till the day I die. Hopefully somebody comes looking for my ghost. I don't know what you have to say about overstepping your bounds, Carl. I mean, we don't go into people's houses and overstep our bounds, like bring in Ouija boards or do any provocation or anything like that, because these folks have to live with these spirits, and we get to go home and say, hey, you know, hope these guys are all right.
Well, in a few instances, I've been in a situation where there's been so much paranormal activity. And, you know, anybody who's done some paranormal investigating is aware that when you're called in to assist with a residential case, somebody's home, generally the person will tell you, oh, so much was happening before your team showed up and now it stopped. And you really don't see much at the time. You may record some EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. You may feel some cold spots, feel that you're not particularly welcome there. And then after the investigating team leaves, they say, oh, all hell broke loose after you guys left. And we started getting touched and lights went on and off. Well, I've been in a few cases where the paranormal activity was manifesting right well when the investigative team was there. And after that goes on for some hours, you feel you really don't belong there. I did feel that I was overstepping my bounds just by being there, but I wanted to inspire confidence in the people who had called us in to explore their situation. So I stood my ground, but in those instances when we saw crockery flying across the room and actually strike the owner of the house, the lady of the house, one of them hit her, one of these shards of crockery hit her, and you hear bangings on the walls and some really strange anomalies manifest in the photographs. After a while I felt, I really shouldn't be here, but I need to be. And it was fascinating, especially in retrospect. But I didn't feel emotionally that I belonged there at that time. I felt unwelcome by whatever unseen presence was in that home. It's actually several houses in Rhode Island and New York.
Fair enough. Have you guys ever caught something that has scared you out of there? And to the point where, I know there's a lot of paranormal investigators that go in there all brave and stuff when they start off, but then when they catch it, they turn chicken. Have you ever caught anything that has scared you out of the building?
No, that's never happened. I don't expect it ever would.
Been startled, but I never ran going out. I ran going towards it.
I have seen some of the stuff that you have investigated, and you play with, well, not play with, sorry, excuse that, investigate stuff that, personally, it would scare the bejesus out of me, which is why I haven't done it. The demonology stuff. Now, these are beings that may have been here before Christianity, and they don't take someone too well to people butting their noses into their business. Can you tell us a little more on that? Because that is a creepy subject, personally. I know there's some out there that can manifest themselves as children and think that you have a child in your house, and they can get very, very nasty. And there might have actually been the possibility of some of these causing people to kill themselves. What are anybody's takes on this, the demonology?
Well, we don't have really modern or scientific terminology to apply to this study. We say demons, we say spirits, we say hauntings, and the term demon is rather medieval in itself, but it refers to the more hostile, stronger type of spirit. Interestingly, a demonic haunting doesn't last for as long as a human-generated haunting. It usually does its damage over the period of a year, maybe 2 years, but then goes away, then goes somewhere else. So I think my most unsettling experience was in a demonic case, and I'm referred to as a demonologist. I specialize as a demonologist, meaning I'm an expert in the unknown, really, things we don't understand. We don't know what causes them. Demons are thought to be ancient spirits that, as you say, possibly predate the human race. They may be fallen angels, but we know they're here and we know they're malicious. They seem to have agendas. And one case I addressed in Providence, Rhode Island, very early in my career of paranormal investigating, even in that early time, I was known to be a paranormal investigator and somebody who would stand my ground. Well, I was invited into this home where a 14-year-old boy named Lucas was undergoing fits of what they thought might be possession. So I was invited to stay overnight at this house in the west end of Providence. And I'd heard that this young boy would go through fits where something seemed to be taking over him. So I had bedded down on the couch, and at about 1 a.m. in the morning one evening, when I was staying overnight there, suddenly I was awoken, as were the rest in the house, by this blood-curdling scream. And I heard thumping, banging, thrashing. So I fumbled for the light in the living room, wall light, and flicked on the light, the overhead light, and I and others saw this 14-year-old boy come careening out of his bedroom, and his body was curled up in a fetal position, and he was spinning around at a blurry speed and banging off the walls. It's one thing to talk about this, it's another thing to be standing there frozen in that spot watching it. And I just observed for what seemed like a long time, but it was probably about 20 seconds, as this boy was being thrown against the walls. Then, with speed that seemed greater than human, he jumped up on the sofa where I had been resting and started to jump up and down, and this harsh laughter came out of his mouth, and he had this wild look in his eyes. I tried to restrain him. I was pretty sturdy, and I was my normal 200 plus pounds. I tried to hold his arms down. He pushed me right off him, and then he came out of this spell, and even if you could explain away what was happening to him as accelerated muscle motor performance, you could tell he wasn't acting this because he was in a panic. And an exorcism was arranged. I participated in this, and that was a very harrowing and trying experience. There were a couple of instances where I thought I would actually go outside and leave. This is too much for me. But I said, no, this is where I either stay with it or I don't do this anymore. So I helped out with that exorcism. It lasted for well over an hour. By the way, when the exorcism procedure began and there was clergy involved, prayers were said, and then we became quiet. And when the actual formal exorcism began, the floor in this parlor room shook as if it was an earth tremor or a truck going by. But there was no detectable source. The floor just shook, floorboards. Something heavy and unwholesome entered the room. I can't describe it otherwise. Something wrong. And my chair with me in it, I was sitting in the center of a semicircle. Just my chair with me seated in it moved back across the wall, propelled by an unseen force, till I was back against the wall. And then this boy fell onto the floor and went into his seizure-like fits, but cursing, swearing, telling us to leave him alone. Prayers were said, he was doused with holy water, and after that procedure, he was much better. He only had one more episode after that, when his parents were driving by a church, and he started to scream, go into a panic when they went by a church. But after that, he seemed much better. It was actually a very complicated case. I could talk about it for an hour. But I suppose the exorcism succeeded because he was much better after that. I also keep in mind he was in that formative state, that at age 14 he was in his adolescence. His hormones were running wild, I suppose. That affects a person's psychology. He had found a glove in a cemetery in the West End of Providence, and he picked it up and brought it home. It was a woman's glove. Nobody knew why it was there, but then the glove disappeared. Nobody could find it. And it was shortly after that where he started to be taken over by an invading personality. So that actually began my interest in demonology. And it's not for everybody, of course. It's not that I'm stronger or more efficient than maybe other paranormal investigators, but it seemed to find me. It's not that I went out looking for these heavier, these demonic cases. They would be brought to me. So, and the late Ed Warren once said that once someone decides to embark upon the path of demonology, specializes as a demonologist, one is forever marked, that the demonic realm recognizes you and you can't get away from it unless you leave the field altogether.
So you're marked because you're next to an evil clown. Keep that in mind. Haven't heard too much from the young ladies down there. You're very quiet on a talk show.
Oh, I'll just keep talking so they don't have to.
This is very interesting about the demon stuff. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we're going to come back and ask some more paranormal questions.